The Security Council will now begin its consideration of item 2 of the agenda. I now give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Bujar Osmani.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Excellency, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Switzerland, dear Ignacio, distinguished permanent representatives, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the first presidency of Switzerland with the UN Security Council at this time when we face dramatic situations across the world. I'm using the opportunity to wish you success during your presidency. Additionally, I would like to extend my gratitude for the invitation to brief the members of the UN Security Council about the political vision, priorities, and undertakings of the 2023 OSCE Chairpersonship of North Macedonia. Mr. President, my address as OSCE Chair will be a call for action, call for an immediate quest for peace. A terrible war rages in our yard, in Europe and in the OSCE area. The possible consequences of this war are grave enough to endanger peace and stability globally. This organization, the United Nations, was created to save the future generations from the scourge of war. The OSCE aimed at reinforcing stability and cooperation by enhancing trust and meaningful dialogue from Vancouver to Vladivostok. The question that appears relevant is, where do we stand now? Have we lived up to the principles and values we have committed to? Stability has been shattered, confidence is lost, while cooperation is hardly existing. Dialogue, if there is still any, is becoming more and more impoisoning. Ladies and gentlemen, 30 years ago, the former UN Secretary General Gali offered his vision for absence of war, but above all, existence of durable peace. I was pleased to learn that Secretary General Guterres' new agenda for peace was discussed here yesterday. Both the UN and the OSCE should stand together and resolutely work on ways to promote and safeguard peace, because no organization can do it alone. Only through collaboration and mutual support we can create a world that is safe, secure, and prosperous for all. As OSCE Chair-in-Office, I call upon the synergy between the UN and the OSCE in achieving peace for our and next generations. As security challenges continue to evolve, the nature of OSCE cooperation with the UN must evolve as well. We must become more pragmatic and action-oriented. In the 30 years that have elapsed, the UN and the OSCE have built a significant relationship and coordinated very closely in operational terms. We need to tighten those relations even more now. Ladies and gentlemen, North Macedonia assumed the chairpersonship of the OSCE as of 1st of January this year, in the most difficult and challenging times. As you know, our motto is, "It's about people." And allow me to say a couple of words why we have chosen this approach. Politics is not about winning or losing. It is about the people we represent, their lives, their hopes, and their dreams. As leaders, we have a solemn responsibility to serve them, to protect them, and to ensure that their voices are heard. The world is facing unprecedented challenges, and the people are paying the price. It is time for us to step up and take decisive action. We cannot afford to wait any longer while the suffering of the people continues. It has never been less about ideology, geopolitics, or personal gain. It has never been more important to put at the forefront the well-being of the people. We cannot ignore the cries for justice, freedom, and dignity. We cannot turn a blind eye to human suffering or deny basic human rights. A collective action is needed now. Ladies and gentlemen, the OSCE has been confronting a number of challenges over recent years that have come to a head in the current full-scale Russian aggression. This aggression erodes the foundations of the organization by violating the provisions of the Helsinki Final Act. The Russian Federation blatantly violated fundamental principles of international law agreed upon all. As I started my address with the call for immediate action for peace, I am using the opportunity to urge Russia once again to end this war and withdraw its troops from the sovereign territory of Ukraine. Immense damage has already been done, and every additional day of aggression prolongs the human suffering. I witnessed people's hardship firsthand in Borodyanka, near Kyiv, on my first trip abroad in the capacity of the OSCE's chair. I visited a nearby camp housing the war-affected and displaced population, most of them innocent civilians, elderly people or children. I have heard their distressing stories and experiences. They do not deserve this destiny and need to be freed from fear of war. Moreover, they deserve justice. Accountability today is a moral imperative, as it is the most effective means to avoid this happening again in any other place. Mr. President, in our program for 2023 OSCE chairpersonship, the protracted conflicts and the work of the OSCE field operations are another area of high priority. In this regard, earlier this year I visited the Republic of Moldova, as the situation with the Transnistria settlement process needs further OSCE attention. As chair of the OSCE, I have offered my readiness to support ideas that can have a positive impact on the process. Brief assessment from my recent visits to the South Caucasus, another area of protracted conflicts, is that the overall situation needs support for the initiatives that facilitate dialogue towards lasting peace and leading to normalization of relations between Armenia and Azerbaijan. As chair, we aim for the peaceful, comprehensive and sustainable settlement of the disagreements that afflict and concern Azerbaijanis and Armenians. As in the occasion earlier, and while I was there, I have also addressed the humanitarian concerns over the Latchin corridor and in particular consequences that directly affect the local population. In light of recent developments, I would like again to emphasize our commitment to the OSCE as a venue for resolving differences in the South Caucasus and call on all parties to rely on genuine dialogue and good faith negotiation. As regards Georgia, I welcome the latest round of Geneva international discussions held 2 weeks ago. As the OSCE chair, North Macedonia fully supports the continuation of this key venue for dialogue under the joint leadership of the UN, OSCE and EU. These channels and diplomatic processes must remain open, not only to avoid further escalation, but also to deal with the consequences of the 2008 conflict. It was particularly significant to visit the Odzisi crossing and see firsthand the condition at the dividing lines and the consequences of the long-term closure of the crossing. It is unfortunate to witness that in the 21st century, there is yet another wall of separation that divides the population affected by the conflict. The completely blocked freedom of movement of people in this area is unsustainable and contrary to the basic principles of the OSCE and civilization's ideals. Mr. President, in the upcoming weeks, I'm planning to visit the OSCE field missions in the Southeast Europe. The visits are taking place in the crucial juncture of developments in the region. In particular, I would like to commend the progress reached between Kosovo and Serbia in Ohrid, North Macedonia, under the auspices of the European Union. The encouraging fact is the readiness expressed by both sides to carry out their responsibility related to the implementation of the annex to the agreement reached in Brussels. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, we will continue to promote the unity of voice, unity of purpose concept, and reinforce reconciliation and trust-building portfolio. The other priorities that are incorporated in our program for the 2023 chairpersonship will largely depend on security developments. Despite all difficulties, we will continue to promote human security through support for sustainable economic growth and environmental cooperation. uphold basic human rights and promote tolerance and non-discrimination as prerequisites for comprehensive security. With all that said, I would like to add that we will not spare efforts and energy to support a functional and flexible OSCE. The challenges facing the OSCE are significant, but they are not insurmountable. We will remain committed to the organization and work together to address the issues that threaten its effectiveness. This includes providing adequate funding, strengthening its institutions, and ensuring that it has the support of member states. Let us remember that the OSCE is not just a platform for dialogue of non-like-minded countries. It is a community of nations that's supposed to share a common vision of peace and stability. We must work together in solidarity and unity to ensure that this vision becomes a reality. Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, human lives are the most precious thing. As a medical doctor myself by profession, I was working daily to save lives. I saw the suffering provoked by illness and could witness the natural fight of a human being for life. I would like to believe that war is not an inherent component of human nature. It is a man-made disaster that takes hundreds, thousands of lives in a moment. War is neither necessity nor destiny. In most cases, it's a deliberate human choice, the most wrong and terrible one, and it is our duty to repair this and do things right. Peace is the driving force of multilateralism and is the most precious ideal of humankind. Therefore, we must join forces around our joint pursuit for peace. After all, it's all about people. Thank you for your attention.
Je remercie son...
Thank you,